fight's not over.
Stop the fight!
People.
Everybody, I come here for everybody. Kill everybody. I'm the champ. I'm the king. Kill everybody. Ah!
All right, guys. Lane here with Broke Bets, coming back with our picks for UFC Atlantic City. Got my co-host with me as always, Carson.
Oh yes, sir. We are back on the road. UFC is finally having a crowd for this card.
Yeah, there's actually some decent fights on here. And of course, guys, check out that Patreon. We already got bets up for this card. Got bets up for future cards coming. So pay attention as always. And first fight: Nate Landwehr versus Jamall Emmers. Give me Jamall Emmers. Heavily underrated in my opinion in this weight class, and just as a UFC fighter. Super well-rounded, and 7 losses on his record may look worse, but I think he won that Jack Jenkins fight. This guy's got solid grappling, great length. I mean, he's got a great frame for this weight class. He's tall, he's long. His boxing's nice. He can use kicks. I just like Emmers' game all around, and Nate Landwehr's taken so much damage through his career. It's hard to see him here just mounting a comeback victory. So give me Emmers by a second-round knockout.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Landwehr's a crowd favorite. Everybody loves him, but yeah, I got to go with Emmers here. He's got really good range management. Uses the jab and his kicks really well. And I just think the damage will wear on Landwehr, and eventually he'll get KO'd. 2 of his last 3 losses are by finish for Landwehr as well too. So
he's been
Ige was the only one who hasn't knocked him out in this.
He was nearly finished in that Onama fight a couple times, and yeah, there's been some worse moments for him in some fights, even though he's in these brawls. But I'm still hoping he'll before the fight at least say Nate the Train in the UFC, and then he'll say, look at that bicep, and he'll flex on everybody.
Yeah, he's got good submission ability, but Emmers has a pretty good takedown defense too, and defensive grappling. So,
what?
Yeah, I think Emmers all day here.
You know what the matchmaking, because we have a guy that's a future on this card. The matchmaking that should happen with Nate Landwehr is why am I blanking on his name right now? Angel Pacheco. If Angel Pacheco and Nate Landwehr had a fight, it would be a bomb. It'd be an absolute great one. But anyway, we'll get up to that fight soon. So, anything else from you here?
No, I got nothing else.
All right, Emmers KO round 2. Okay, for the next fight, we have Melissa Gatto versus Victoria Dudakova. In my opinion, a pretty easy win here for Melissa Gatto. Take away the Russian flag and the undefeated resume. Well, she does have an undefeated resume. I'm not impressed by Victoria Dudakova. Decent striking, but no power on it. She's coming up a weight class here to 125, where Gatto will, I think, just be a lot physically more dominant in a fight like this. She's very lean, muscular girl, and Dudakova about lost to Jinyu Fry and got taken down and held down the entire second round and just never looked impressive in the fight. And I feel like Gatto, she's going to be the better striker. She's going to be better at getting takedowns in this fight. And I think the community's pretty off, and I'm hoping Gatto will flip to an underdog so I can have a chance at making some money there. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Dudakova at 86% here on Tapology as we speak is pretty wild to me. Coming up a weight class, she missed weight by like 1.5 pounds, half a pound maybe. And after the fight, she said she had like staph infection in her
nether regions
area. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe that was part of her poor performance, but yeah, I don't know. Gatto, she's got pretty good. She's a pretty good grappler as well, and better striking, I would imagine too, and more natural weight class here. So yeah, I think gotta favor Gatto here.
Gatto's the much better submission grappler, so I'm going to take her by submission as well. I think I'll just go round 2. I think that she can hold this on the ground a little bit longer. And Dudakova, while that staff thing might hold up, it wasn't really a cardio-based issue that I've seen with her performances. She gets her takedowns all from the clinch, which is the same for Melissa Gatto, and I just feel like Gatto is stronger in the clinch, so I have a hard time seeing Dudakova really take over this fight. So, yeah. Gatto, submission, round 2. Okay, for the next fight, we have Aslan versus Anton Turkalj. Both, strange names here. I'm going with Aslan. I'll give away as well. This is a free bet. I put half a unit on Aslan so far. I feel like I can just beat a lot of line movement because Turkalj just has a bad reputation already, I feel like, for the UFC, getting knocked out in his last fight. These guys have already fought prior where it seemed like Aslan was doing a lot better, and then he just kind of gassed out and Turkalj took over. But I just think Anton's chin doesn't look good. It's high in the air, and I just think it only takes a couple strikes, as we saw in the Pedro fight, to really just stun him and finish him. So I'm gonna go with Aslan by how he wins, for a knockout in the first round. What do you think?
Yeah, that's how Aslan wins, is first round KO. And who else is a first round finisher who just retired? Tyson Pedro, who starched Turkalj in the first round and has not looked good at all. I mean, Pedro's recent wins are Ike Villanueva, Harry Hunsucker, and Turkalj, and he's losing to Buzukja, Pedro, of recent. So, I think they fought before as well. So this is a rematch, and rematches are not always the same. They were both like 24, I believe, but Aslan seemed to get the better of him in the first round, and then just gassed out. And I think sooner or later in that first round, Aslan would be able to touch that chin and knock him out.
I do see decent takedown defense. He's just going to be naturally probably 15 pounds heavier at fight time, just because he has a lot of muscle. He got tired, and that's where he pretty much lost the fight. But for the most part, I think mainly he just was clinching way too much in that first fight. They both just hugged each other, and the guy who's holding less muscle will just not slow down as much typically in those scenarios. So Aslan this time, again, I put half a unit on him. I'm leaving that door open if I just want to bet him by knockout, although I feel like that's going to be the same as his money line, because at this weight class, at his resume of knockouts, they probably won't give you a nice number. So, yeah.
Yeah, Aslan has really good leg kicks as well, too. He hurt Turkalj, or at least...
he, knocked him down with a leg kick, I believe.
Yeah, and I think he has multiple leg kick finishes before as well, too. So.
Yeah. All right. Aslan, KO, round 1. Okay, for the next fight, we have Julio Arce versus Herbert Burns. Herbert Burns, the notorious quitter. We're taking Julio Arce. He's a big favorite here. There is a first round finish scare because that's the way Burns will fight. He's just going to go all out in round 1, and then he's going to give up in round 2. And he also gave up against Bill Algeo, who's not the most frightening person. I mean, he's good fighter, but he's not doing crazy damage to anybody. And I remember Bill was doing ground and pound and winding up his punches as a joke in round 2 because he knew Burns was done. But yeah, Burns is the quitter and a gasser, and Arce, I'm gonna stick with second round knockout because that's how Herbert Burns has been losing his last 2 fights.
Yeah, and Burns is taking a 1.5 to 2 year layoff here as well too. So can't imagine that'll be good for him either. Arce just has to avoid the first round finish, and he's never been finished before in the first round too. So I think he's got really good footwork, good boxing, decent takedown defense, and will avoid the first round KO and knockout, or first round finish, and then finish Burns in that second.
Yeah, I believe Julio Arce's takedown defense is 90s. It's in the 90s. It's very high. Montel Jack, he's had a struggle with opponents who are a little bit more physically larger than him, and Montel Jackson's like when he hits people, they just fall, and there's a couple instances where that happened in their fight. But I'm shocked Herbert Burns is still in the UFC. Maybe just because he's brothers with Gilbert. I don't know how I blanked so hard on that, but I don't know how he's still in the UFC, especially when you lose a fight. Oh god, it's so funny. The tag, exhaustion from
exhaustion
damage.
from damage.
Well, he literally just Bill Algeo told him to get up, and he just didn't get up. I mean, that's the worst way to lose. So, yeah, no one's got a high opinion of him, and we'll take Arce by knockout. Okay, for the next fight, we have Angel Pacheco versus Caolan Loughran. We're going with Loughran. I think what really this fight differentiates one fighter from the other is probably the grappling. And Loughran, he is built like Drew Dober at 135. His head is fucking huge. He looks like roided out Connor's head right now. And I just feel like Loughran, he tied up the legs really well, even when he did get Lapalus down. And in his previous, Cage Warriors fights, his ground game just looked good. Pacheco can be game on the feet, but his chin has been tagged multiple times. Knocked down versus Danny Silva, took like 150 significant strikes. And then also he was almost flatlined in his CFFC fight. I don't know what's going on with his chin. Like, it seems to get cracked, but then he's fine, and then he just fights through it. I don't get it. But I think Loughran will just take advantage of where he's going to be best in this fight, which is to me the grappling. So I'm going to take Loughran by a first-round submission.
Yeah, Loughran is just physically strong. Like you said, built like Dober. His head is huge. He is a little slower and throws little wild hooks, but yeah, I mean, his takedowns seem decent. It's just muscle, being physically stronger, and like you said, wrapping up the legs. Yeah, I feel like he has the advantage here on the ground. Pacheco, like you said, has taken a ton of damage recently, but he seems to be all right. Throwing back punches as well. Mixes in the body really well. But yeah, I just think Loughran will be physically stronger here, and will be able to get it to the mat and ground and pounder submission.
I feel like Pacheco too. He has a style where he's like almost like a Diaz brother. He's gonna need to fight someone who's gonna get real dead tired, beating his ass in order to win. And I've seen Loughran. He doesn't seem to slow down too badly. I mean, in the Lapalus fight, he seemed like he was doing okay for having like 20 plus takedown attempts in that fight. So I don't see him slowing down too much. Pacheco has some nice body work and just high volume. And yeah, I don't know what's going on with his chin. At times it's like lights out almost, and at other times he just like slightly rolls punches, and it doesn't seem to affect him that much. He also has he likes to use a flying knee quite a bit. Loughran does have a really low stance, so that could be effective. But grappling, I think grappling is just the game changer here. You gotta stick with Loughran. So Loughran, submission, round 1. Okay, for the next fight we have Connor Matthews versus Denis Buzukja. I'm going to take Buzukja on this side. I think he's probably, steered people the other direction now because he's on a 2-fight skid. He wasn't signed off his 2 Dana White Contender Series fights. But I do see decent parts of his game. I think he's fairly tough. I know he was knocked out by a punch versus Emmers, but he still survived Nelson Bagdasaryan kind of kicking his ass, and his boxing's pretty decent. I do think defensively he's actually pretty good, and his gas tank seems to hold up pretty well, and his takedown defense seems to hold up pretty well. And I think Matthews, for the most part, tries to get these fights to the ground, but he is just a little bit too wild for me on the feet. Doesn't protect his chin enough. He's actually, I think a fair comparison would be like a much less talented Benoit Saint Denis. He has a very similar style. He'll keep his hands down and he'll walk straight into punches, but he'll try to get his grappling going. So I'm going to take Buzukja by decision. I think he can just land the bigger strikes and win a scorecard here.
Yeah, definitely for Buzukja. He hasn't been given the easy opponents here in the UFC. He came in short notice against Sean Woodson. I think very short notice as well, and missed weight by half a pound. And then Jamall Emmers as well. Two very tough opponents to start out your UFC career. But for Connor Matthews, I think he's actually decent. He's a southpaw fighter, well-rounded, likes to work in some takedowns, puts pressure on guys. He's got decent body kicks, but his head does not move whatsoever, and he'll like sit in the pocket at times. So Buzukja could clip him and hurt him. I mean, if Buzukja does win, I would see him winning some of those moments and hurting Matthews there. Matthews puts on a good pressure as well, and he's getting timely takedowns as well to steer the fight in his direction. I guess his last fight against Ferris, or Ferris, however you pronounce his name, he got a takedown with like 10 seconds left in the first round, and might have swayed the judges there. So family takedowns.
So you think you going for Matthews here?
I think so.
It's a true pick'em type fight.
Yeah, it really is. 81% are on Matthews, which I don't love for Tapology, but the line is, I think Buzukja's like a slight favorite, pretty much a pick'em. But I don't like having Tapology community on my side.
Yeah, and I feel like Matthews, the thing that puts him maybe slightly above for people on Tapology is he wants to win. He's the one moving forward. He's trying to create damage. Whereas Buzukja, I think, is just a little more hesitant to like go into those firefights, and where he may need to tag Matthews in order to swing rounds or win the fight. So that's gonna be an interesting component. Again, I think the over. I mean, it'll probably be set at 2.5, but I still think it's kind of a decent opportunity here. I think both guys could go over in this fight.
Yeah, both these guys are super tough. Obviously, Buzukja got starched early on, but he showed pretty good toughness against Woodson in that one, and like you said, Bagdasaryan. And Matthews has this win on his record. It's very underrated against Jay Ellis. 5 fights back. Jay Ellis is pretty tough. He's 10-16 and 109. Yes, that is correct. 16.
Yeah, if you guys don't remember Jason Ellis, the notorious guy with over 100 losses or whatever.
Yep, he's still going too.
I don't understand it. Anyway, we'll take Buzukja by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Andre Petroski versus Jacob Malkoun. Give me Jacob Malkoun, the better grappler in my eyes. I think Petroski would be the better submission grappler, but if you're just looking at Malkoun's offensive wrestling, just high level and also great cardio, that's pretty unbeatable in a lot of these fights. I mean, Anthony Hernandez is another guy in this weight class that's similar and a grade up in the submission skills, but Malkoun is just a motherfucker for people to deal with and really developed better striking. He's used a jab and a lot more straight punches that have worked effectively. He lost to Cody Brunage, though, to back of the head strikes, which robbed a lot of people of a lot of money. But give me Malkoun by decision.
Yep. I would say Cody Brundage and Angelosa have 2 things in common.
Yep. And Herbert Burns.
Yeah, him as well. Petroski got starched in the first minute in his last fight against Pereira, and then won a split decision against Gerald Meerschaert, which is not the best look. But yeah, Malkoun has really good takedowns. He doesn't have any submissions or has never been submitted before, so I feel like he'll win the stand-up and win the wrestling, win it on the mat too if it goes there. He just has to avoid getting submitted. He's got pretty good top pressure, can chain wrestle, and he doesn't slow down too. His cardio is pretty good. And Petroski, he slows down, but he fights through it kind of too. So
he holds too much muscle type of thing.
Yeah, that as well. And Malkoun's got a pretty good jab too, so I like him to win here, probably by decision.
Yeah, I think the heights are also listed incorrectly. I don't think Malkoun's 5'9" at middleweight. I think these guys will be the same height. Also, Brendan Allen, who I think is a much higher level submission guy, especially just with the rear naked chokes and all that shit. Malkoun got him to the ground a lot. If you're this worried about a submission threat, I think if Brendan Allen can't get Malkoun out of there, I feel like Petroski will struggle too.
Right.
And Petroski on the feet, man, he's got nothing but like an overhand left, and it like never hits the mark. And it also will just slow him down. If he's just going to throw that overhand while he's tired, it'll just slow him down even more. So I'm all over Malkoun. I think he's easy money. And always, the only thing that worries me is his chin at times, but I do think Petroski would struggle to clip him. So yeah. Any thoughts here? Any more thoughts?
I mean, Petroski's played spoiler before, beating Nick Maximov, and then we figured out Nick Maximov is not all that good, and then Malkoun beat him later.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be playing spoiler here. I think Malkoun's got this.
All right, Malkoun by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Virna Jandiroba versus Lupita Godniez. Man, I'm going to go with Virna. I feel like she is just criminally underrated because of her eyes and her little afro she runs around with. And Lupita Godniez, extremely active, on a win streak. But for the most part, Virna's just a dangerous grappler. I mean, I don't think she'll submit Lupita, but I think when it comes to top control and swinging rounds, Virna gets those moments. And 19-3 for a women's like MMA record is extremely good for also who she's faced historically. So I think Lupita Godniez, yeah, again, not a bad fighter, decent boxing, but overall just going to be a step behind in this one. So give me Jandiroba by decision.
Yeah, I think Virna will have the better grappling here. Godniez, I question her IQ at times. I mean, just the one that sticks out is Angela Hill fight. She was getting pieced up on the feet and refused to attempt a takedown in that one. So, yeah, I think Virna will have the better top control here, and we'll be able to get Godniez down on the mat. Like you said, Godniez hasn't been submitted before, has never been finished before, but Jandiroba has shown she's got pretty good cardio too. So, yeah, I think she wins a decision.
And look for a split decision. Godniez, she seemed to beat Ricci pretty handedly, and that was still a split. She's got a split over Calvillo. It just feels like this one's going to be a split no matter what as well. So, yeah. Simple as that. Jandiroba by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Bill Algeo versus Kyle Nelson. Great matchup in my eyes. I think Kyle Nelson's pretty underrated in people's books, and we're gonna go with Bill Algeo though. Cardio, length, fighting with his length, very good at it. Kyle Nelson, he's doing a great job of keeping a high guard and really not giving his opponents any crucial knockout blow chances. And he's a guy who has the power that he can kind of, knock someone out in one punch, so he can kind of sit back on that. But Bill's just doing such a good job of fighting on the outside right now, using the teep kicks to the body, which he just kind of destroyed Hernandez with throughout the fight. And I just see this touch and move. I think it'll be a very close decision, though, because the way Kyle Nelson fights, if he's not giving you many openings and then he gets one big punch, it can be hard to score around. So similar to that fucker that just beat Basharat. God, I'm blanking. For Zahabi, whatever.
Zahabi,
yeah. Give me Bill Algeo by decision, though, still.
Yeah. Nelson's played spoiler the last couple fights as well. He's been like plus 200 underdogs in his last two and won both those. So,
and we hit it in the Blake Builder fight. We were the only ones, I think, that bet him there. So,
yeah. He's around the same line here as well, I believe. But yeah, like you said, he's pretty defensively sound. He did go on a little streak where he got finished by Ferreira, Billy Q, another one. But yeah, he's last 4 fights have all been decisions, so I see that happening here as well. He's defensively sound and throws out those leg kicks. I think Bill Algeo has really good cardio as well. He's scrappy and pretty good grappler as well. I think this will be a tough, close decision, but I think Bill Algeo will have the bigger moments, I would say, and the crowd on his side too.
And Nelson's been using leg kicks more frequently in his fights, but Bill Algeo switches stances pretty effectively, so I don't see too much damage accumulating to a single leg. And in terms of knockout power, I think, Bill doesn't have great power, so this one going over 2.5 seems a little bit like it's in the bank. I'm curious what that line will be, though, so watch out for that.
Yeah.
All right, Algeo by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Nursulton, Ruziboev versus Sedriques, Dumas. I think it's just an obvious Ruziboev. Dumas on a 2-fight win streak, but has looked not good in either. His cardio's not looking good. This dude just went to jail a month ago. He went to jail a month ago. I don't know how long he was in. I don't know if he only had like 2 weeks of training coming back out of this, or if he's training in the pen, boys, so... we'll see. Ruziboev, I'm going to go with a first-round submission. I feel like he could club and sub. Dumas might even try to take him down, which then Ruziboev, I've seen he's got a pretty good Kimura. He's got, some tricky jiu-jitsu moves in his back pocket. And I see him with this superior cardio experience pretty much everywhere. So, give me Ruziboev.
Ruziboev is a finisher, especially in that first round too. Just look at his record: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. His last 9 fights, all finishes in the first round. Most of them, actually, I wouldn't say most of them, but they're pretty much split on KOs and submissions. So, this dude's a finisher. I think he'll get Dumas out of there in that first round. I would worry about the cardio of Ruziboev, but he's fighting Dumas, who doesn't have any better cardio. So,
right, and I've seen Ruziboev get taken down before, but he does, like I said, he has an active guard. I think that'll help him at least to slow down Dumas, if not finish him from that point. And Dumas really, really, really struggled with being hit against Josh Fremd. Like, anything that landed, it was just a bad body language reaction. Maybe he's just not used to it. And then, of course, just grappling, it looked like he was just done for going into that round 2. So, overall, Dumas, decent power, but, he beat some women, I think, or somebody in battery charge or whatever when he went to jail. So, don't know what's going on there. Totally, but Ruziboev seems pretty good here on a streak, and pretty quick knockout of Bruno Ferreira as well. So,
Dumas hasn't finished or didn't finish his Itar, and didn't finish Brundage. So, those are the 2 guys who are notoriously getting finished. I don't know how you can't finish those guys.
3 pretty bad opponents too, just in the UFC. All 3 of those guys have not been good. So.
Yeah, Josh Fremd. He's losing to Josh Fremd. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
This guy's not winning.
All right. Ruziboev, submission, or just finish in round 1. Okay, for the next fight, we have Chidi and Njokuani versus Rhys McKee. Going with Chidi. I don't trust him. Just the path of kind of giving up in some fights. Not a great look. Not really going for it versus Duraev. But overall skill set, power advantage. I got to go with Njokuani. I feel like he'll find a knockout in round 1 or 2. McKee's just very hittable. He got hit so many fucking times by Angelosa. I feel like he takes a couple of those from Njokuani. He's probably going down. And, good for McKee that he's staying in fights and fighting back, but I do think, I think it'd be hard for him to mount a comeback in a fight like this, so give me Njokuani.
Yeah, and Njokuani uses his length really well, throwing out teep kicks and just hitting the body as well too. Uses that length really well. He's pretty big as well for middleweight. But he's hurting Gregory Rodriguez and hurting Olenjachuk, and then was like giving up and then couldn't finish. Is very, very weird. Especially that last one against Olenjachuk.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't really trust him at all. But Rhys McKee's not all that much better. He's very hittable on the feet and doesn't have the best cardio. So yeah, I like Chidi here.
Boom. Chidi and Njokuani, KO, round 2. Okay, for the next fight, we have Bruno Silva versus Chris Weidman. Honestly, a somewhat hard pick to fight stylistically, but I'm going to stick with the younger fighter. Not by many years, but the younger fighter, the one who's having, I shouldn't even say that much success. 4 of the last 5 are losses, but he still doesn't look horrible here in the UFC. And Weidman, as old as he does, he looks old now. You know, he's not moving very well. His leg is just getting chopped out after a few kicks from Tavares. I mean, they're heavy kicks, but the scary thing with Bruno Silva is he is like either making you look stupid for picking against him or stupid for picking him. That's just the way he fights. It's just he's going for an all-out knockout, or he'll look like he did versus Gerald Meerschaert, just a full-blown idiot. So, you don't know what you're getting with him, and I feel like Weidman actually has an opportunity to land takedowns, but Bruno Silva is so aggressive in that round 1. I don't know if Weidman can get out of there alive, so give me a Silva knockout in the first round.
Yeah. It is a tough fight to call, I would say. It's just like, what Bruno Silva are you going to get? Weidman doesn't have the worst takedown attempts, even when his leg was getting chewed up against Brad Tavares. I mean, they were halfway decent takedown attempts, but Brad Tavares just has really good takedown defense.
Right.
Yeah, like Bruno Silva against Meerschaert is like, he was like a full-blown idiot, like you said, and like over-swinging on wild hooks, and then was getting taken down by not very good takedown attempts. Yeah, I think he's super deadly in that first round, but if it gets out of it, it's going to be dicey after that, especially if he slows down. Weidman's able to get a takedown, and yeah, could be a mess for him.
Yeah, and Weidman a way better like chain grappler, and then like Tavares also has like extremely good takedown defense for the middleweight division, so he's making Chris Weidman look a lot worse in the wrestling department. But Bruno Silva as well, man, versus Sharabutin Magomedov. Like, Sharabutin had like his guard wide open, and Bruno Silva didn't even try to pass his guard, and then he was just getting elbowed in open guard from Shara. It doesn't make any sense to me. The one time I think he passed Magomedov's guard, he actually started to have some success and got him more trapped on the floor. But IQ is horrible. Chris Weidman, though, he's not really been in the game, and he's talking about a title shot, like coming back for a title, man. Yoel Romero must have just like kneed his fucking brains out that one time. But I do enjoy watching Weidman on the weigh-in show and other shit. He seems like a cool guy, but
yeah, this fight will also be in his region of the U.S. as well too. So probably a lot of fans cheering for him.
Hopefully he survives. I'll cheer for him, but we'll see. Silva KO round 1. Okay, for the next fight, we have Vicente Luque versus Joaquin Buckley. I gotta go with Luque. Luque's just been so good for a while, and it's a strange thing where there's these guys who seem to hit their peak at a younger age, and Luque was kind of one of those guys. And maybe his chin might be affected, might not at this moment. He had that brain hemorrhage or whatever, came into the RDA fight and did a lot of grappling in order to not take damage. But if we're just talking pure technique and who's one of the most dangerous welterweights that's ever been, I think it's just Luque. And his left hook, the snap at the end of his punch, and just how wide Buckley throws his strikes, I think Luque will just find something when Buckley moves into range and just fucking snap him down to the ground. So I'm going to take a Luque knockout, hopefully in old school fashion. I hope we get the old school Luque back. And weird to say that, but yeah, give me Luque.
Yeah, we really didn't see like him test his chin, and in the last fight, he didn't really take any damage against RDA. It was just grappling for 25 minutes. But where he was getting hit was by Jeff Neal, and Jeff Neal's always throwing the straight punches right down the middle, and Buckley is throwing wide hooks. So I don't know. I don't think Luque will get starched here. I really don't. That's his only KO loss, and it was against Jeff Neal. So
yeah,
pretty tough opponent there. So yeah, hopefully he's using his stand up here as well, and not boring us with a little grappling fest. But yeah, I think he is very dangerous, and Buckley's been KO'd before too, 3 times I believe.
Yeah, and I feel like Luque, man, if this fight stays on the feet, it's gonna be a banger. It's gonna be a fun one.
Right.
I'll never. My favorite Luque knockout, and it's probably not one that people would expect, would be Jalen Turner. The one Jalen Turner throws a spinning elbow, and Luque hits him down to the ground, and then the ground and pound. I mean, if you guys have not seen that knockout, it is so fucking brutal. It's just him holding Jalen Turner's head and just left hand after left hand. The hardest ground and pound for pound I've probably ever seen. One of my favorite knockouts. And, yeah, I just see Luque hopefully catching that chin and being the old school version of himself, being a little bit less nervous and more aggressive. So Buckley, good high volume at moments, good body shots, but Luque's got a nice little shell, and I think that he can counter something. So, yeah.
Yeah, Buckley is coming in on short notice. I can't remember how long ago it was scheduled. I remember Luque was supposed to fight Sean Brady, and that's a completely different stylistic matchup. So,
right. All right.
Yeah.
Luque KO round 2. All right, guys, welcome to the main event prediction. As always, guys, check out that Patreon. Get the line movement, get those bets early. And then, of course, drop a like, subscribe, comment down below who you disagree with. If you want to call us full-blown R-words or whatever, aim for it. Anyway, main event. Erin Blanchfield versus Manon Fiorot. Grappler versus striker matchup. And in my eyes, kind of a true pick'em. And I'm going to go with Fiorot. I feel like her ability to stick and move is just superior to Erin Blanchfield. She did a good job of marabbing versus Talia Santos. She just pushed her up against the cage, used superior cardio to win that 3rd round, although she did very little damage. I won't blame her because that's what she kind of had to do to win. And Fiorot, though, the big cage, her footwork, her size, only been taken down once in her career, has high takedown defense percentage, and for the most part, just feel like, again, just stick and move, use those front kicks, use the length weapons, and I'm going to say by decision she wins. I like an over in this fight, so.
Yeah. Fiorot uses that sidekick really well to keep range, and we are, I assume when we're on the big cage, means we're traveling here. So maybe that helps her, but yeah, I mean, I just think if Blanchfield's able to get in tight in the clinch, I think she'll be able to take her down.
Ooh, so you're on the Blanchfield side.
I am, yeah. Fiorot does have really good takedown defense, and like you said, 91 or whatever percent takedown defense, but no one's really trying to take her down all that well, and no one to the abilities of Erin Blanchfield. Yeah, Blanchfield's last fight was a snoozer against Santos, but Santos arguably won against Valentina as well too. So
right.
Got to keep that in mind.
I feel like Blanchfield
yeah.
too. She uses much more diverse wrestling techniques than the typical female. Like the highest level of female grapplers. I think she even brings another level to a lot of the wrestling. She'll switch to a single. She can, she does has a lot more tools in order to try to get people to the ground.
And she's still only 24 years old. This is a 10-year age gap here as well. And she's fighting in her home region. I won't say home state because it's in New Jersey, but New York, where she's from, I believe. So close enough, I would say.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be a decent main event, I imagine. I just hope there's some damage dealt and not just morabbing. So that's why I would kind of cheer for Fiorot. But yeah, I mean, whoever wins this gets the next title shot, and it sounds like it's going to be probably Grasso and Shevchenko again, I guess. And then after that, one of these two. So we'll see. Yeah. Any more thoughts here?
I mean, the crowd will probably be cheering every time she takes her down. So maybe they are cheering for a snoozer. I don't know.
It'd be a strange one, won't it? I mean, yeah, the crowd will be behind her, but at the same time, the crowd won't have a lot to be behind. Like, there won't be a lot of entertainment, probably. Well, if Erin can get her to the ground, I'll be entertained. But if she just is going to be on the fence attempting takedowns, I'll be like, motherfucker, this is boring. So,
right.
If she wins, hopefully she wins with an actual MMA techniques and not clinching. But yeah, I gotta stick with Fiorot's size.
Yeah, Fiorot's never been finished before, so maybe that changes, but maybe it goes out all 25 minutes. It'll be a good experience for Blanchfield going 25 minutes again. So
Fiorot has a really weird torso. Have you noticed that? It's like very square through her like gut section.
Right.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Built like a rectangle, but.
Yeah, she does have a weird body style.
But, yeah, give me the bigger fighter here. But I think she defends the takedowns. Anyway, you guys get it. Carson's on Blanchfield. I'm on Fiorot by decision. Alright, guys, for the betting results for Rhys versus Namajunas. Just a slight losing card, I kind of talked about this one. Felt like a dodgy card, and I think for some people it could have been pretty successful, others not. We had 4 bets, ended up losing about 0.75 units, and I won money off a bite. Andre Lima got bitten, and I won money off of it, and it was one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen in the UFC. So, yeah, strange. I mean, neither guy was like truly winning the fight, so it was pretty dead even, and then that happened, and boom, Andre Lima gets the dub. Next, man, these tough guys, I think we gotta add a new rule. Carson's telling me this. No more Ultimate Fighter bets, because on just tonight, Cody Gibson, Muhammad Usman, who's also a tough fighter, and then, there's one other one. God, why am I blanking? Kurt Holloway. All 3 of them lost. And, like, they're decent fighters, but goddamn, like... I mean, Cody Gibson was so sloppy. Like, the thing with Miles Johns is you just out-pressure the dude and he'll fold, but Cody Gibson kept on dipping his head and sucking his own dick to play defense, pretty much, and it's just bizarre. Like, he had such a good performance just with, his, tough finale, but then he... And this one doesn't have that much volume, isn't landing many strikes, and just nervous it looks like to be hit. But I think that's a new rule. No more tough people, unless it's Brian Battle, who's like the only one that's turned out in the last however many years. Prop bets. Trey Ogden and Kurt Holloway over 2.5 rounds. Ogden is a snooze fest, as always. And then Edmund Shabazi and AJ Dobson ended up being a really bad read. AJ Dobson hurt him so bad early and then, like, let him grapple. I mean, just, like, bad tactics. We picked Edmund to win. He did, but good comeback, but at the same time, I felt like AJ Dobson didn't really get rocked by a punch. He got hit like side of the head like this with a punch, and then that's where he started to go down. But he obviously ended up getting knocked out by the kind of brutal ground and pound. So yeah, these were the bets. Man, Yusuf Zalal coming back, that dude just looked fucking phenomenal. We picked him. I was happy we did. And then also Peyton Talbot. I mean, what the fuck is in that dude's water? Like, he's just in the Matrix. Anything Simon did had a counter. Or any movement Simon did had anticipation. Like the knees, the straight punches, just everything. The push kicks. Everything he did was just phenomenal, and one of the most, like, honestly dominant performances I've seen in a long time. So, yeah, I mean, other than that, on to the next one. Breaks the win streak of 3 cards, but like I said, not gonna lose a bunch on a questionable card. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching, and peace.
I know. It doesn't matter from the trenches. I'm built like this. The old doubted me said I couldn't do it. The old said I couldn't do it. Look at me now.